大家来到今天的 Project Tyra 的这个 Tyra Talk 周历的 Tyra Talk。我们今天非常荣幸呢，能请到Chien-Chih来跟我们谈谈，就是他在 blockchain 相关的研究。那在让Chien-Chih开始他的演讲之前呢，先让我介绍一下Chien-Chih。Chien-Chih或是大家可以叫他 Joseph， 是这个 University of Waterloo 的 PhD student。他现在在的系所呢是 Electrical and Computer Engineering。Faculty of Engineering， 然后呢，在他来到这个 University of Waterloo 之前呢，他曾经在台湾就是带领银行的新创银行团队呢，做这个 banking system 的这个程式设计，然后呢，他同时有 collaborate 跟Microsoft Taiwan collaborate 就相关就是 medical system 的研究。那他的这个 doctoral research 主要是就是今天的主题 blockchain， 然后呢，他除此之外，他也对比如说 IoT、Edge Computing、Security 还有 AI 都有涉猎，而且是非常有兴趣。那除此之外，在这个主要的研究之外呢，他同时也有 volunteer 在 mentor 台湾的学生参加就是申请这个全世界的这个 PhD program， 然后他同时也有sorry， 我看一下，new graduate student， 我不太 sorry， 我中文英文翻译有点问题。to mentor， 我只用英文念好了。volunteers to mentor new graduate student in his department and the Taiwan Global Ambassador of UW's Office of Advancement。然后呢，他非常鼓励台湾的学生可以跳出舒适圈，追寻他们的梦想。好，那我这边先关掉。今天Chien-Chih要给我们带来的演讲题目呢是An implementation of fake news prevention by blockchain and entropy-based incentive mechanism。那麻烦大家现在把麦克风打开，因为你们的麦克风现在预设是关掉的。先把麦克风全部打开，然后我们用热烈的掌声来欢迎我们今天的讲者为我们带来精彩的演讲。好，那就交给你了，Chien-Chih。
Thank you, everyone. And thanks, Yan-Yong. I originally thought I used the Chinese to give a speech, but I promised my English workshop to give an English presentation, so I still use English to give my presentation. But if you have any question, feel free to ask in Chinese or English. Both are fine, okay? So so I'm so glad to give you this presentation. It's about we use blockchain technique to come back with the fake news. So, but before into the research, I would like to introduce my background and to let you understand me more. Okay, so this is my background. Actually, I'm born in Taiwan, and when I graduated, I worked in Taiwan for several years. And as you can see, I originally work in Hsinchu, in Zhuke, and then I go back to Taipei and do some software development. And then I go to the banks, Yisan Bank and China Trust. And then before I joined UW, I collaborated with the Microsoft Taiwan as a technical consultant. And my educational background is that I'm computer science master degree in National Taiwan Ocean University. So, and for this part is that I introduced that in my master's thesis, we developed some facial recognition system that you could input the sentences and your image, and then our system could to generate animation like you, and the animation can say some sentences. So it's pretty interesting application in that year, and as you can see right now, a lot of application like this published, very famous. So it's a life is a joke. If we put this product on the market, maybe I'm a millionaire now, right? And when I graduated, and for the engineering students, seniors told you you could go to the Hsinchu, Zhuke, right, to get job, and then you can get a lot of stocks, then you can retire very soon. So it was my dream. So when I graduated, I went to Hsinchu. But in that year, we made some financial crisis. So dream was broken, right? So I came back to Taipei to do software development. And then at that time, I was very interested in mobile development. And in that generation, in that year, the Microsoft collaborated with the Nokia to deliver the new devices. That's the Nokia and the Windows Phone on the market. So I joined one company with as the product manager and led a team to develop some mobile apps. As you can see, the interesting one is the first. We transfer the Nokia's their games. It's a Barbie game, right? If you're a child, you use this app, you can change the clothes of the avatars in these games. We transfer it from the iPhone and Android system to the Windows Phone, and then we do some application. We did some applications for the care food, right? And for the Taiwan taxi, and also for the EasyTab. All these application, I was so excited that I did this application because in apps, if you are a programmer, the apps could give you very straightforward feedback from customers. So it's really interesting. However, the life gave me another joke is that the Windows Phone did not success at that time. So yeah, after I did this job for more than 1 year, I found that this job cannot help me to earn enough money for me to live. Yeah. So I joined to banks and to learn the derivatives, some financial products, and we built a system. It's called the Murex. And this Murex is a very powerful system that the banking operations, if you are a trader, you could use this system to record any financial products in this system. And all the Taiwan, the first tiers, the banks use this system. So I went to China Trust, and then when the hunter invited me to join Isan Bank to introduce Murexes to their banks. And then when I finished this Murex project, we made a big project in Taiwan. Is that the Asian Pacific organization came to Taiwan. They do some appraisals to how does Taiwan do in the anti-money laundering, which is 反洗钱. And so when I was kidding that. So yeah, I am one of the Taiwan representatives, the national teams in Taiwan. It's very honored for us, but it's really tough to do that. We need to finish a lot of the requirements in a very short time. But the final result is very good, and I also got promotion in Isan Bank. So far, it looks so good. So why I want to go study abroad? Yeah, that's because that I was thinking about that if I still stay in Taiwan, right? Maybe I could get a good jobs and to be promoted, continue to be promoted. But I was very I heard about some great the new technology skills or some new products from Silicon Valley or from North America. So it was always be my dream to study abroad. So I was so hesitant. But yeah, I just had to give myself a chance to this, and so right now I was thinking about that. The sense is that if you have a dream, the only could stop you is just yourself. So I just want to encourage all of my friends or the participants or some young students in this meeting. You could to track your dreams or not to not to limit yourself. And so right now I'm here in Canada, so I saw a lot of beautiful things, and but yeah, the period is also when I prepare for this study for things, I met a lot of difficulties, and it's worth it, I think. And my motto is that actually adventure may hurt you, but monotony, which means that you always do the same things, it will kill you creative or other things. So yeah, that's all my background introduction. So I will stop here for a while. If you have any question, you could ask me right now. Okay, I think if you have any question, feel free to ask me, and we can discuss more. And so I wrote some my experiences in my blog and some Medium. If you have, you could check it and to get more detail. If you also want to trace your dreams, or you have some dream career, or if you could also find me on those pages, and we could discuss more about your question. And then, okay, so let's get to our main research topic today. Today we're going to talk about how to use the blockchain to prevent the fake news. Yeah, actually, what is the fake news? It is a complete verification, which means people to forge something or to mimic something, and they're very similar to the real. You are not able to confirm what the fact is, what is the real, what is the fake. And so, what is actually the spread of fake news are not in the long future. It happens right now. You can see this slide in the left and upside. It's the U.S. stock market. In one day, you could see the picture. It drops sharply. But why? Because at that day, a news says that the Obama was dead. But it's a rumor, right? But however, the stock market to drop very sharply by this fake news. And other examples in this slide is also, we all know that the Cambridge Analytica, they collect the user's preferences and to make some news or articles that you are interested in, and to affect your opinion in some specific issues. And also the Russian, they use some propagandas to affect the Brexit, the results of Brexit. So all this are the current threat to our society and democracy and the economy. Also in Taiwan is the same. Actually, in the research, Taiwan is the most, we got the most threat from the whole world. We are number one. So it's very, like I said, it's not a straight in a long distance. It's the current. It happened currently right now. So why people invest in fake news? That is because they can get a lot of revenues based on very lower cost. Right now, the cost of producing the fake news is very cheap. But if you can affect a big topic like the US president election or some very huge topic, you could get a huge revenues, right? So why don't we do that? If I can do impact a lot of people by very low cost, actually the malicious people will, of course, they will do that, right? And also, the AI technology makes things worse because in my this slide that this is the Jordan Peele. He's a U.S. actor. He collaborated with technology companies that use the AI technique to the deepfake technique to produce the video and to let the Obama to say some words they want him to say. So AI make the fake news to be produced more easier. And so, but in the traditional ways, our research mainly focus on how to use the computer to detect the fake news automatically. But how we do that? You see this picture that we have different algorithms, but mainly we use some machine learning algorithms. We find some clues. For example, if you the fake news comes in and we find whether its IP address is correct or not, and its content has some weird things or not. So we use some patterns to detect and to decide whether this fake news is whether this news is correct or not. But like I said, AI makes things very similar to real. The algorithms does not have the great performance right now. So some big companies like Google or Facebook, they began to use some human beings power capabilities to help AI to check the content's authenticity. How they do that? They build some teams. They collaborate with the local populations. They have the ability to check the content is correct or not. And Facebook also did the same things. They built a teams internal, and those teams will check some news, the authenticity, and to make your some news when news push to your device, they will be real, and they will to build some fake news. And in Taiwan, we also have one organization, and you could see that is the Taiwan Fact Check Center, and you could go on their website and to see they will check some news and tell you this is correct or incorrect. Okay, but I start here, and for these solutions like Google or Facebook or the Taiwan Fact Check Center, those are good solutions, but these solutions are managed by a central organization, right? We don't know how they work. It's like a black box. If they did not do their job well, you did not know, right? You just can trust them. So in our solution that we used decentralized solutions, which means that we will form a team, form a core, a lot of people. They are appraisers. They will verify some contents. But this solution does not managed by only one companies. It's managed by everyone who joined this system. So this is our paper, and just accepted by DPNs 2021 in November. So if when after the meeting, if you have more interest in the detail, you could, but it's not published yet, maybe in December. So in December, you can check this the content in more detail. Okay, so I think we can get into the detail. So for this work is from another paper that invented by some researchers in the UK. As you can see, in the middle of the architecture, there is a group that we call it uprising actors. These are some professions, they have ability to check the content is correct or not. And in that side, when the content creator is the content creators are people who create the digital content. Okay, maybe you are a writer or you are a photographer, and you make some content, and you could send your content into our system, and then those appraising actors will verify your content to check, oh, your content is real or fake, and then they will send back to you the appraising result. Then those appraising results will be saved in the blockchain network. After that, the right-hand side users, when they come into our system, they could check the authenticity of the contents from our blockchain network. So that's an overview architecture of the system. Our system's architecture is similar to this architecture, but we in the following slide, I will introduce the differences between architecture and this. And this is interesting that, like I said, if we all rely on Facebook or Google to help us to check the content, how do I know they do their job very well? Maybe they just they did not do very seriously, so I still could see some fake news. But in this system, you could to select the people or some authorities media you trust, and then to let them to be your appraising actors, right? So, for example, if in this case I selected one is the BBC, is a media, right? And I also selected some people, Professor Smith, Mr. John, maybe some celebrities you trust. If they say this news is real, you will trust that, right? So maybe, for example, in Taiwan, maybe you are very confident, right? If he say this news is real, okay, I will trust him. So you could select these people to be your trusted parties list. And when the news comes in, this we call it a quorum, a group of appraising actors. They will give you their opinion. What is this the news is correct or not? And so, but why we need to use the blockchain in the system? Why don't we just use the traditional databases? We just save the appraising results. We don't need to use the blockchain, right? But actually, blockchain has some characteristic that if once your data is saved in blockchain, you cannot modify that because everyone have a one ledger in their node. Is this not possible to modify all the ledgers, right? And another case is that if you modify the ledger in only one node, it will easier to be found because we have some hashtag in computer science. The hash point is that, for example, in my node, I have a hash point to point to your node. But if you modify the hash point is based on your content. If you modify the content, the hash point will be modified. So it will be easier to be found that somebody modified the data. So blockchain will be a great solution to maintain the correctness of the data. And we go back to give you some knowledge is how does the blockchain work. Actually, you can see this picture, and if you have a transaction in this system, and the nodes will compete to try to verify it. And once this data verified, it will be saved to the blockchain like this. In the bottom, we have some red blocks, and they are linked by the hash pointer, right? So this is how the blockchain works. And then it's there are many blockchains in right now, so it's a very simple classification. One is the public and another is the private. Public means that everyone could to send a transaction in this blockchain network, like Bitcoin, or people know about Bitcoin and or Ethereum. But in private blockchain, only people approved can send the transaction into the system. And so this private blockchain often be used in the corporations, not for the public. And and another thing you need to know in blockchain is the proof of work and the proof of stake. What is proof of work? It means that if we have a transaction and we have a lot of nodes, which node can record this data into blockchain. And if you are proof of work mechanism, the nodes will compete to solve a complicated math problem. And this process, we call it the mining, right? So it's a famous word, or it's very popular to be heard. If you solve this problem, then you get the right to save data into blockchain. But and the proof of work is right now the blockchain and the Ethereum used. And the proof of stake is that, well, no, we don't to solve the math problem. We just use some stake. What does that mean is that if you want to record data into blockchain, you need to pay some fees. And if you pay higher, you will get higher chance to get the right, to be selected to get the right to save data into the blockchain. So these two solutions could resist the hackers, because in the proof of work, we want to control all the right to record data in blockchain. You need to control more than 51% computers in the world. And in proof of stake, you need to pay more than 51% stakes, then you get the right to record data. And then so you can see that. So in blockchain, actually, I think people will heard about one news is in Taiwan that one bank, some people buy a lottery, right? Then they collect a lot of people to buy the lottery together, but one man denied that, said, oh no, this is lottery is only belongs to me. But if you use blockchain, the solution, the problem will not exist, because in blockchain everything will very transparency, and we could trust who did the transaction. So that's the one of the blockchain could support our daily life. Actually, they can solve a lot of things, like electronic voting, or to press some fishery or some products, the original prices of the product by using the blockchain. And then in this system, you could, I would like to introduce the Hyperledger fabric. It's the blockchain that proposed by IBM. And this is the permission private blockchain that I said it's for the companies, not for the public. And how they work, you can see this flow. If you have a transaction, you could propose to the execution chain code. The chain code is the smart contract. Yeah, in the blockchain network, I think people will heard about smart contract very often. And then the smart contract will check your content to check is there any mistake in your content, and then send back to you. And when you get a permission, you can submit your transaction to the ordering services. And then the ordering services will to decide how to record your data into the blockchain. And it's different to the Bitcoin. The Hyperledger fabric does not use the proof of work mechanism, which means that we don't need to spend a lot of energy or money to to mining to do the mining process. So it will be faster and to save energy than the blockchain, than the Bitcoin. So for this our main in our paper, this our main architecture. The main differences is that you could see that in the data persistent layer, our blockchain will use the Hyperledger fabric, but in the previous work, they did not mention that which blockchain they used. Also, how do you incentive to let the oppressing actors to do things well? We invented incentive mechanisms to let people willing to do things very well, not to produce some dishonest behaviors. And then our system will tell you that if you send the content creator send one content into our system will tell you how much percent this content is real or fake. Like this slide shows, the content is the 66% is real and 80% is fake. This opinion is from the people you trust in your trust list. So you could use this a person result to judge this news is fake or not. And so this is our main flaw, and we refer to the history and that in the beginning our system will accept the participant to add some new stakes, so they will get some credit point, and then they can use the credit point to do some appraising, and then we can get a trust score. And then when we get a trust score, so we could, for example, in the previous this example, the majority thinks that this content is real. So the minority, why this minority think this content is fake? So our system will give reward to those people that are belongs to the majority, and to give the punishment to people who are in the minority, right? Because all people are professions. Why you think this content is fake, not correct, not similar to the majority's opinion? And then before I get into how to calculate the trust score, I want to introduce one concept. Is we call it the entropy. And yeah, don't think it too complicated. I don't want to introduce some to academia or some to top concept. You can only see that this concept is from the chemistry, and from well, an example is that if you have a glass of water and you put ink into the water will the ink will from one point and will spread to everywhere, right? So the entropy is to measure this phenomena, how the things, is it a disorder or not? If the entropy is high, because it means that the things is more disordered. And I could put here, and so in this slide you could see that the red point is really similar to, you could imagine that the one red point is one people. If their opinion are the same, it's just like the low entropy, right? They will stay together very closely. But if their opinion divergent, they will have high entropy, right? So their opinion will not the same. So I will begin to tell you how we calculate the trust score, and I will put some equations there. But you don't need to look very detailed into the equations. You just need to look at the numbers, okay? But for this example, if we have 5 appraisers and 3 of them agree and 2 of them reject, so we could get that the possibility of real is 3 divided 5. Based on this is a possibility, and it's 3 divided 5, so it's 0.5, and the p fact will be 2 divided 5 will be 0.4. And then we put the p real and p fact into this equation, then we can get the entropy for this case will be 0.97. Okay, just remember the number. And another case is that if we have the 4 appraisers agree, only one reject, you could get that, in this case, the people have the more consistent opinion, right? So the entropy will lower, and in the example 1, the entropy is higher. So our system encourage people to let their opinion consistent. So when the high entropy, our reward or punishment will lower, but in the example 2, our reward and the punishment will be higher. So I will give you a table and to show you how we calculate the trust score. And so if you remember the main flow I said before, in the beginning, this is our 5 people, and they have some opinions in the specific of news. And their initial stakes is that the A1 put 5,000 into his system, the A2 put 1,000, and the total stakes is the 21,000. And you could get the equity point of appraiser, and is the 5,000 to divide 21,000. So we could get each appraiser's credit point of appraiser, right? So it's just a simple math. Okay, so right now we have the know-how the credit point of the appraisers, and then when the appraisers gave opinion to the content, they could say that, oh, I'm 100% to sure that this news is fake or real or fake. But like A2, he could also say that, oh, the content is a little bit tough for me to judge, so I just have the 70% confidence that it is true. So our trust score will be the CPOA to multiply the confidence. So you could see that this SOA is the score of authentic. It's all the people agrees, and their SOA, the summation of all the SOA. And here is the score of fake. It's the same as the score of authentic, and we also summation all the people's disagrees and the summation their SOF to get the final score. So it's the trust, how we calculate the trust score. And then when we know the trust score, like I said, our system will decide, will reflect the reward or punishment to each appraisers. And we define that our basic reward is the total stake to multiply the 0.1%. So in this case, will be 21. And the basic punishment will be more higher than the reward, because we want to stop the malicious nodes. So the basic punishment will be total stake multiplied 10%. So it will be the 2,100. And then the reward of the content, which means that when once content comes in, and how many reward we will reflect to all the appraisers who did their jobs. So our equation will be, we use the basic reward to multiply the value of the 1 to minus the entropy S. So you could see that in this case, we know that in our example 1, our entropy is 0.97. So the ROC or POC will be 6.3 and 6.3 respectively. Okay. So then we know that the basic reward and we know the reward of content and the punishment of content, and how we reflect to each process. And we will to calculate the ratio of SOA, which means that, for example, in SOA we have the 0.66, and for A1 we will know that there are 36% of the trust score. The score of authentic came from the appraiser 1, right? So we will use this ratio to reflect the reward to each appraisers. And for the punishment, it's the same. We will know that how you contribute to the trust of the fake, right? And then if you contribute or you occupy more percentage, you will get more reward or more punishment. Okay, so in here you can see we calculate the ratio of ROC and the ratio of POC, which each appraisers need to be reflected, to be added or be reduced. And then when we reflect it, you can see that for example for A1, its initial stake is 5,000, and after stake is the 5,000.23. So we could get all the after stakes, and then we can calculate the after quitting point. So this is a cycle. When every content, when we finish the appraising process, we will have the new stakes and the new quitting point, and then they will get ready to accept another content. And if any appraisers, their quitting point goes to 0, which means that their stakes already they got a lot of the punishment, and their quitting point, their stakes is equal to 0, and we will go back to our main flow, the initial process that to ask these appraisers, you need to add more stakes to continue to be the appraisers. So that's how. So we only finished the I think the most difficult part in our presentation is to calculate the trust score. But and in this slide that we do some experiments that to prove that our system could be scaled on a lot of the computers. You could see that, and in the left side, the picture shows that our system could, in our testing environment, we use the 4 servers, and the throughput is still goes well. But in our system, we set the contents, the maximum of the content is the 8 megabytes, because you could imagine that if we could compress the content for videos or we use in computer science, there is the technique you could use the content to as the input, and we have the output is the very short string or some contents, and it will not to occupy a lot of the size. So our limitation of the content will be the 8 megabytes. And the right hand side, the picture shows that we all know that the computer system is relying on the fault tolerance, which means that if the main server fails, our systems should still work well, right? You could see that. For example, if the Facebook, one server crashed down and you cannot use the Facebook, it's not good, right? So this the right hand side, the picture shows that if we made some server failure, our system still could work well, and the latency will not to increase very much. Okay, so I think we can get into the conclusion. So yeah, so our system, I to summarize some take-home points for all of you. Yeah, as you remember that I said that the AI technique is getting better and better. So the traditional algorithms does not get the great performance to detect the fake news automatic. So if we use the humans' capabilities, we will be a better solution to than the traditional AI algorithms. But of course, we could combine the advantage for the AI algorithms and the human beings' capability. For example, we can use AI technique to build the first layer of filters, and then people can get into the check the results, right? But the most important part is the blockchain network, because it's the decentralized, not to managed by only one company. It's transparency and very easier to find some data is be modified. And through this experience, we know that our system is our architecture is feasible, and it have potential to be deployed in thousands of machines. And the most important part is that our incentive mechanism offers this architecture commercial potential. You could imagine that if you are a writer or you're a photographer, you could use our system to get some proof that your content is real and your reputation will getting better, right? And you are a journalist or you are some best people doing the fact checking, and you can get reward from our system. So there is also then this will give some commercial purpose and for building this the fake news precision systems. Okay, so it's a long presentation, so I'll stop here, and I acknowledge here is that the research is supported by RIPPLE. It's the worldwide payment protocol, and also by the National Science and Engineering Research Council of Canada. Okay, and also thanks my mentor to give me a lot of suggestions and help when I study abroad and to find some research ideas or some know more people how to do well in a PhD program. So I will introduce her Facebook, and she wrote a lot of great things for all of you who wants to study abroad, or you have some. If you are women, it's the best book for you to check. So I put it here, and I also thank Catherine to be my mentor and give me more help. Okay, so that's all the presentation. And if you have a question, you could ask me right now, or after the presentation, you could also drop me a mail or find me on Facebook. I will also to discuss with you more detail or any questions you have. Yeah, thank you so much.
So yeah, actually, so before we start our QA session, please turn on your microphones again. So let's thank Chien-Chih for the very interesting talk.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm not sure, but I'm guessing that some of our attendees would like to ask in Mandarin Chinese, probably, I guess.
Sure.
But I mean, any kind of language, as long as you can communicate, that will all be fine. So yeah, so please feel free to ask questions. Anyone?
Hello, hi.
Hi.
I'm Shanna, and I would like to know, because I noticed that actually you have no experience studying abroad, right? This is your first time.
Yeah.
How do you practice English? Sorry, it's not related to your content, but I'm just curious. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a interesting question. Is that I think I joined some English speaking practicing courses in UW, so yeah, they gave me a lot of practice to join reach some Toastmaster the clubs near UW. So there's a lot of transforming practice in English. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Oh yes, and because I heard some people say that we should prepare. Maybe we should join the 语言学校 abroad.
Yeah.
It's faster than we prepare English fast. How do you think about that? If I cannot reach the score that my school wants, and do I need to apply for the language 语言学校 first, or I just prepare English and until I get the score, get the TOEFL, pass the TOEFL, and then apply for the grade J school? Right.
I think this is another interesting question. Then, actually, I will suggest that it depends. I will suggest to prepare English and try your best to pass the TOEFL or IELTS in Taiwan, because if you go study abroad and you go to some language schools, the cost is really very high, and then it will spend a lot of money. But the most important thing is the but. If you sometimes some people are struggling to pass the exams. So if you found that you cannot concentrate to prepare for the exam, and you stuck on the TOEFL exam, and also the schools offer some opportunities that they say you could go to the university to take the language courses, and then you can get over. I would say you just go, because the time is important. Do not to stuck one stage too long time. Yeah, I think that would be my answer.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So if we go back to your title, I think you're saying that this technique is mainly for how do I say this? For deploying against fake news, quote unquote news, right? But if you let the people decide what will be the thing that they recognize, right? They basically just vote. Let's say Barack Obama just died, and if you let the internet vote, probably 99% of the people will say that's a fake news, right?
Yeah.
But let's say it's an objectively true thing that cannot be voted to become a truth in your system. How do you comment about that?
Yeah, like I said, we trust the majority opinion, right? In our system, we have the reward and the punishment mechanisms to make you to do the correct and the honest things. Actually, in all of the blockchain network, they have the specific incentive mechanism to prevent from some malicious nodes. So if you join we have two mechanisms to prevent the nodes to just to vote casually. They will do their best, because the first, if they join our system, they need to pay fees for, like I said, the stakes. So it's a cost. And then if you join the system and you did not do your job very well, you will get the punishment, and then eventually you will be prohibited to be the oppressors in our system. So our mechanism of incentive is a core concept to incentive people to check the content seriously and to vote correctly.
So if I understand correctly, basically the assumption that you're going with is that people generally have good intention, and they are answering based on their good intention regardless of the truth. Right? Yeah. So say Obama just died, nobody knows. And they basically just like saying it's not a good news because it's just not the thing that is well established that I know. But it's true, right? So in your system, it's basically working against malicious information, but not exactly news. Can I say that?
I could say how to define the fake news is that the content should be correct, right? So when you say Obama is dead, if it's not a truth, our system will consider it is a fake news, right?
Yeah, but
So,
in my scenario, I'm saying, what if he really just died, but nobody knows, like 10 minutes ago?
nobody knows.
I go out and say, hey guys, he just died. That will be the fake news in your system, because nobody knows. That's true.
Yeah, you're right. But if you say Obama is dead, but nobody knows, I would say that this situation is really, it's extremely
That's by
cases,
definition news.
Yeah, so I think because those oppressing actors are very capable to check the contents. So if they hesitate to give some opinions, their confidence will lower. So the trust score of the agree, authentic, and the fake, they will be very similar. So our system will not treat it in your case as a very can do real or fake. It will be a balances. But we could give you an objective opinion to check this content.
I see.
Okay. I do have some comment about the previous question. Just like
Okay.
Okay. First, thank you for a nice talk. And for the tokenomics design, I think that's about how you make a dispute system. Because for now, it's like a one-time votes, and you just get the result done. It's done. But if you see like in Augur for the prediction market, just like if you predict and like whether Obama will die between like 2021, and if people at 2021 will vote, maybe 3% of the voters is enough to get yes or no's. But if you don't trust the result, you can put your stake against that voting result, and then more people need to vote. Till like if you stake like maybe 1% of the total like token, then all of the people need to vote. Like you need to get so I guess you need to kind of like refine the appeal system or the tokenomics, because I think the previous like question is quite valid, because you assume that like the majority vote will know the truth, but maybe it takes some time, right? So but if you like you want to label the news in 10 minutes, and definitely, well, it's hard to get information to propagate to like the society or the civilization to get people votes and get the correct result. So I guess you just need to have a dispute system, I guess.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. But like you said, if you want to get a news in just 10 minutes to see it's correct or not, it will be difficult to achieve that, because maybe like Ian said, the news is not just known by a minority people. But for this case, I think for the current solutions, I think people will have, like we have put the more stakes, or we can to introduce more the third parties, the libraries that, and we can ask their opinions. So our speed will get in faster.
I do think this is a very interesting, actually very valuable research. I'm just being curious. Like, so anyone has other questions?
I have some questions. Like, do do you really plan to launch this thing in a public chain? Because I would say in the past 2 years, Hyperledger is not really thriving, and even though the gas fee and the transaction fee is an issue for Bitcoin and Ethereum, but for the new generation high throughput blockchain also support smart contract, then it will be a much better platform, I would say, because Hyperledger is definitely more clean and more permission, but how to really scale the platform, I would say public chain is still better than the permission chain.
Yeah, actually you're right. We plan to introduce some digital tokens in our system because we need to give the reward or punishment, right? So Ethereum will be the one choice that we consider to transfer the Hyperledger to the Ethereum. And also there are other tokens that invented right now. They have the great, because Ethereum and Bitcoin, their speed is too slow, right? But there are lots of faster blockchain network. So we consider to, like you said, to transfer from the private blockchain to the public. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for replying.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your asking.
Okay, so one last time. Anybody has question? Okay, if not, please again really turn on your microphone. So let's thank our speaker again. That's a very interesting talk.
Thank you everyone. If you also have any questions, please